Color Outside the Box is a podcast series that focuses on creating a better you. Whether it's advice about family, relationships, raising children in this technological world, marriage, or careers, we seek to find the answers to help you live your best life. So start your Monday morning off right with me, your hostess with the mostest, Princess Miller, on Color Outside the Box right here on iTunes and everywhere podcasts can be heard. Well, good Monday morning, and thank you for tuning in to the Color Outside the Box podcast. I'm your hostess, Princess Miller, and I am in the studio with a new guest. Today we have Miss Ivie Bush in the studio with us, and Miss Ivie is the owner of Right Way Christian Daycare. And so today we're going to be talking about raising toddlers and taking care of babies, and she's been in the child care business for about how long, Ivie?
About 17 years.
17 years. So she is expert. In fact, when I had my babies, she was the first daycare provider for them. And she does amazing work with children. And so, good morning, Miss Ivie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to have you here on the podcast. Every week, God will speak to me and tell me who to put on next. And so, he had actually spoke to me about you. I believe it was last week. And so I was like, okay, God, well, what are we going to talk about? And he wanted me to talk about taking care of babies. And so,
okay.
So Miss Ivie, I want you to share with us some information about your daycare, where you're located, and what kind of services do you provide?
Okay, well, I, as you said, I'm the owner of Right Way Christian Daycare, and I have owned my daycare on my own for 15 years now. This year makes 15 years. I am a home daycare. I receive children between the ages of 6 weeks to 12 years old. I preferably like to stick with the 6 weeks to about 5.
Okay.
Majority of my children leave around the age of 4, and head off to Head Start.
Okay.
I'm located in the West Mobile, the Moffett Road area. If you ever want to contact me, just give me a call. My number is 316-3856.
So let's talk about raising kids, because, you have these new parents and, we may read a lot to try to figure out how to take care of our kids. But, even when, let me give you a scenario. So I took my baby to go get her glasses, and I decided to try a chain here locally. And when I went, there was a lady who had a little boy. It looked like he was about maybe 4 and maybe 3 or 4. And she was just, she was literally chasing this boy through the store till she got tired and came back and sat down. And she was just, come back here. And he was, into everything, tried to walk in on somebody using the bathroom and coming behind the counter, and then he was picking up their glasses and putting them on and running around the store and rolling on the floor. And I felt the exact same way. That boy, I was like, oh my goodness, does she need a belt? It was, and I said, wow, there are a lot of parents that can't do anything with their kids.
No, not at all.
And it stems from when they're babies, training them when they're babies on how to act in public. And so we're going to talk about some of the things. One of the first things I wanted to talk about is knowing your child's limits. You have anywhere from 5 to 6 babies at a time. And so that each child is different. Right. And how do you find out and work with that child where they are?
Well, what I do is, one of the first things I do is have a meeting with the parents. We may have a short conversation over the phone, but then I ask to meet with them. I do not accept any children just by talking to you on the phone. We come in, we come together, sit at the table, let's discuss. Especially if it's a child, an older child that has never been with me or never been to daycare or been home with
mom and
grandma
dad.
or, whatever, like, Okay, so what all have y'all been allowing him to do or not do? Is there a balance? Is there a schedule? Because when they come to daycare, there's a schedule. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a home-based daycare, and a lot of parents like, oh, it's home daycare, you know, so they'll just sit and watch TV all day. That's not the case when you come to my home daycare.
Yeah.
It's not a sit up and let's watch TV all day. You don't get to run anything here. So, basically, I just sit down with the parents because you do have some children that may have an issue with not obeying the rules. Mm-hmm. And you may have some children that just don't have any rules. Mm-hmm. So, you want to make sure you let the parents know where you are. Mm-hmm. Because you may have some parents that don't too much care for their children to have rules. I have had some that's like, oh no, we don't do that. We just let them do whatever he wants to do. Well, not here. So I make sure I'm very upfront with them with what I allow, what I don't allow, and who's the captain in here, pretty much.
Now, let me stop you right there. For those of you that don't know, Ivie is ex-military. And so when it comes to scheduling, you know, kids following the rules, I've seen her babies. They're extremely smart. She teaches them. They know the days of the week. They know the days. They know the months of the year. They know their name, their family's name. They talk like little grown people, and they're just 2 and 3. Right. And so she teaches. She takes out time. She trains them. By the time they're 2, they're using the bathroom on their own. You know, she is really good. And a lot of times, home daycares get a bad rap because, you know, there have been a lot of horror stories out there, but that's not the case with Ivie. And again, my babies went through her daycare, and she was really great with them. So as you were saying, you let them know who's in charge. Right.
Yes, you pay me. You know, I just want to make sure we're on the same page when it comes to things. If a parent has heard about me through another parent, more than likely, they already know how I am. Especially if they have a child that is not really prepared for school per se. And it may not always be a behavior thing. Yes, I have had parents to call me and say, hey, someone told me that you can get my child straight before school. and let me just be clear that when I get them straight, no, there's no... you know, harsh punishment or anything like that. Basically, I'm just an old school parent, old school teacher, which means even at the age of 2, they can say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. They can be taught those things early on.
And they clean up behind themselves, too.
Correct. If you could teach them all the other negative words to say that's not going to do anything for them, you could teach them manners. You could teach them how to be respectful. So, you know, a lot of the choices that the children make is either because the parents have allowed it and it's either gotten out of hand, or they may have some type of issue, you know, that's going on that maybe they need to go see the doctor about. And
one thing that I want to, and I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but I mean, Ivie does phenomenal work. She had a child that came, and the child had some developmental issues, and she was able to help this kid get to the place where they needed to be school ready, walking. They wasn't even walking when they came to you. And how old was he? Like 3?
I believe once I received that child, he was about maybe 1.5. He did have some delays. When he came to me, he was what we would consider a special needs baby. Now I have kept children with autism. I've kept, you know, children with special needs, which means with this child's case, and I won't go into detail because they're local, but when the parent brought him to me, she told me he can't walk. The doctor said he'll never walk. And so I was like, okay. You know, also being a Christian daycare, we believe different. If you're really a Christian, we believe different. So automatically I was like, oh no, not here with me. He's going to walk. He can't be over here scooting and, you know, whatever. He's going to walk. He's going to talk. Everything that they told you is going to happen. And so, and actually she was referred to me from an agency that I had dealt with in the past that does, that comes out and does therapy with special needs children. So, I worked with that baby, I think within, I call him baby, he was 1.5, but, he was walking, I believe, within the first few months, of being in my care. He walks, he talks, matter of fact, he's running now. So, and that was so long ago, actually about 3-4 years ago. So now, I mean, he's moving. He's big. And I often see him with his family, and he's doing great.
Awesome. And so let's talk about explaining how to follow rules, because a lot of times we have you've seen the video where the mother is trying to tell the baby something, and he's saying, listen, Linda. You have these kids that try to tell you what they're going to do and what they're not going to do, and they're 2 and 3 and can barely talk and walk. So how do you get your children to follow rules?
Well, once again, I guess I have the military background that's also fused with that old school, because where I started with daycare is when my grandmother owned a daycare. And she opened a daycare up back in 96, I believe. So even though I was still in school, that was my job when I came home, is to assist her, and in the summer, assist her with the children. So even just watching her with the children, she never had to lay a hand. Just let's make that clear. We don't lay hands unless it's in prayer. But anyway, basically what I do is I set the rules. The parents get a copy of the rules. Once again, what I allow, what I don't allow. And what I most of the time tell the parents, because they're like, why do they act right for you, but not us, And I always tell them, it's in the voice. It's in the voice. It is in the look. Most of the time, I can just look at them. But I have, the best children. And when I say that, I guess people are like, nobody just have the best children. You're not getting all the best children. I actually do, because if you set those rules right at the beginning when they start, even if it's a child that started at 2 or 3 and once again been home with dad or whoever, I'll let them know right there in front of their parents, oh no, we don't throw, we don't bite, we don't do this, we don't do that, we don't fight, so they know up front. And most of the time you do kind of have to tell them in front of the parents, because if not, at that age, something can kind of get mixed up there. So I let the parents know right up front what's allowed, what's not allowed. And I always tell them the first 2-3 weeks is what I call boot camp. So it's like, it's either it's going to work or it's not. Majority of the time, it works. I don't think I have ever in my 15 years had to put a child out because of behavior.
That's awesome. That's a testimony that school systems can't even use. Let's take a break right here. We'll be right back on the Color Outside the Box podcast with Miss Ivie Bush. And we're going to continue talking about raising toddlers and babies. Stay tuned.
What's up, everybody? Trey here to tell you about one of the best gym experiences in Mobile, Embrace Fitness Training Center. Embrace Fitness is more than just a gym. We offer personal training, speed and agility training, golf simulator, golf fitness, boot camp classes, child care, and even powerlifting. We're open Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We love families, and kids are welcome. At Embrace Fitness, we believe that a family that works out together will stay together and live healthier and happier lives. So embrace the new you. We're located on Airport Boulevard near Cody Road. Try Embrace Fitness Training Center today. Your first visit is on me.
Princess Creative Productions can provide affordable and professional video service.